Jackie and I'm here with the Pink Spiders, day 2 of the 25th anniversary of Vans Warped Tour. You guys have already performed, right? The hard stuff is over.
This is an easy day.
So are we taking bets on how likely Blink-182 is going to close with Girl at the Rock Show?
I think clothes are open with it. We actually talked about covering it. It would be pretty fun, but
I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do.
Big expectations. That's just my bet. So you guys are back. I remember watching you guys 2006, 2005-ish.
Yeah, I remember you.
Bullshit. I don't expect you. I barely remember myself half the time. But you guys are back. Last year's release, Mutations. You finally put it on YouTube. Why did you finally transfer over to the digital age a little bit?
well, we released it through Spotify and Apple Music and all those streaming things, and we didn't really realize that I guess like YouTube is 70% of all streaming content, and so like a year after, we're like, okay, I guess we'll put these up in that way. But it makes sense because it's kind of how you share with your friends because you don't really know which thing that they pay for or steal from or whatever. So like this is just the kind of ubiquitous place that music lives. And so our album is there now because we're a very professional rock band.
Right, yeah, okay. Well, what role does music streaming have in general as you are kind of returning with new music?
I think the big thing is that your streams kind of determine your placement in like festivals like this. Like that's kind of what like Bonnaroo and Coachella and places like that. Like they're just kind of looking at that more than anything else. And so it has a pretty big role in your career and opportunities and things like that.
So not so much record sales, but like what do those? I mean, that's a pretty easy data point to look at, right? You press in a couple of buttons and you've got that. So
yeah,
I
we need
think
to figure out how to hack it.
Someone will.
Yeah, like bots or something. How do bots work?
I don't know. I'm too old to figure that out.
Make a note. We need bots.
All right, make bots.
Streaming bots.
I heard that like 80% of the internet is bots, actually. So we just hire some of them.
We have the worst bots of any band.
We got to figure out. Someone will figure a way to do that and make a very small band look very huge to someone.
And it will be us.
Nice.
Mark my words.
And you will never be able to use this as your evidence, I promise.
Yeah, next last Warped Tour will be on the main stage to
closing.
Yeah, closing the main stage. Like they have manipulated this data somehow.
There's be one computer in the middle of the field with a bunch of bots on it, just loving it.
Yeah.
Like button over and over again. So how is Mutations and evolution from Sweat It Out back in the day?
I think it kind of. I took more from Teenage Graffiti, our first major label album, and our first real album, the one that we kind of made in a studio. Kind of were thinking about that album more, writing this music. Sweat It Out, I think, was a little ambitious in terms of like things and like the musical elements and what we could pull off live. And this kind of goes back to just like more fun, like 4-chord, like big hooks, fun power pop music.
Speaking of which, how often do you get to experiment when you're playing on stage, or do you try to play as true to the album recording as possible?
We actually talk about that a lot because we used to just speed up all the songs and just be drunker and just make it fun. And there's no way we can do all these harmonies and stuff, especially when we were touring as a 3-piece. And so many bands that we've toured with and we know like use tracks and like have all this supplemental stuff. And so we started playing to a metronome so that our entire set is like synced in time, which is nice because we're a tighter band and we kind of know what to expect and it's not as chaotic. But they're like, well, we could start putting in some tracks and start like, cheating just a little bit. And I love cheating in any way that we possibly can. So far, all that we've done is thrown in some like intros and things like that. But if we ever were more ambitious, we could just put in all the other things. And no one ever knows or cares, at least. Like when you hear a piano and no one has a piano on stage, people are like, when does the band come in? Like they just don't care. So yeah, eventually we're going to totally get over it and just play our CD and we're going to pantomime.
More bots.
Yeah,
more bots.
Yeah, we're going to automate this entire thing. Eventually just
stand there.
Yeah.
Holograms of the Pink Spiders are next.
We're going to franchise robots dressed in pink and black, and then we're just chill at home. Yeah.
How'd you come up with your set list for Warped Tour versus a show that you might headline or support?
That's a good question. I think that we definitely kind of kept it upbeat. There was no...
Yeah, we wanted to stay fast the whole time just to keep the energy high and...
Even like mid-tempo songs.
Sweat more.
Yeah, it was brutal. I totally had forgotten because it's been 11 years since we played a Warped Tour. And the second song last night, I was like, oh, I remember this thing where I get really excited. And the first song, I'm like jumping off things and headbanging stuff. And then the second song, I'm like, I cannot move anymore. Like just the dehydration, my hands were hurting. I was like, yeah, I used to do this every single night or day.
Oh, the joy of youth, right?
Yeah, it was easier back then.
We'll be saying that about today in 10 years.
Plans to follow up Mutations.
We're working on a single now, which we are about to mix, and then we're going to try to find a home for it that's better at putting out music than we are. Because the last album just basically went out to our fans. Like if you weren't following us on social media, we didn't have any way of like reaching you. So there's a few possibilities for that. So yeah, hoping that somebody can get the word out better for us.
What's up next for you guys after Warped Tour?
We got a tour with the Dolly Rots that starts July 29th, and that runs for a couple of weeks, and we're doing the Fest in Gainesville in November. Yeah, that's all in the books right now.
Well, stay tuned for much more from the Pink Spiders. This is Jackie. Thanks to In the Key of Change and Chorus FM.